Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you another video. All right, so I see that Shannon did not show up to First Take this morning, and word is going around that he is essentially saying to the executives at Fox that he's not certain he wants to return, based on just everything that's come up until this point, and I guess this particular insensitive tweet by Skip Bayless that we've discussed at length a couple times already on various therapy sessions. Over the last couple of therapy sessions, I talked about it. And, it's one of those situations where you can see it. I told you guys I saw the writing on the wall about 2 months ago when Shannon came on the show with the Skip Bayless mask. And Skip went, all I'm offended about it on him. I knew that the energy had changed, and I didn't know nothing other than to say that I felt like Shannon probably should have given some thought to maybe not wearing that mask, because I felt at the time that it was one of those things where Skip Bayless could be offended in two ways. One, he could be offended just because you're wearing a mask, and two, you could be offended because he knows he can't wear that mask. If he were to wear a Shannon Sharp mask, he would get canceled. He would be called a racist and all that. Shay can kind of get away with it. So I felt like, in a way, Skip could perceive it as him trying to weaponize his ability to do that against him. And I just felt like it was one of those things where it's like, if they were really friends or if they had good energy, I don't think we would have seen any of that. So that was a signal to me that they had problems. And then I felt like, man, from an energy perspective, I just felt like that whole thing that they were doing, where they were doing the blooper reel for Russell Westbrook, I just felt like that was bad energy for their show, man. I just didn't think that was the way to go, because at the end of the day, though they're up there for shock and value and awe, and it's all about publicity, at the end of the day, when Russell Westbrook's wife comes up and says that my children are uncomfortable about this, and they're the ones that are taking the brunt of it, at that point, it needs to stop being about your show and the success of your show, and it needs to start being about protecting a child, making sure the environment the child is in is all right, and making sure that you, as somebody who's a public figure, is putting out the right example for how to step away from entertainment and step into being a grown-up. You know what I mean? Step into being a person that he says he's a Christian man. Step into being a Christian, and just understand that God would not like that from anybody, but definitely not from somebody he's given a voice to. And millions and millions of people to kind of, entertain or whatever it is. So if my, way of weighing everything is right, I just felt like their relationship on camera could have potentially became what went by the wayside. When you start showing each other that you don't respect people when the line is crossed, then it becomes a situation where you start wondering if the person you're across from is somebody you can respect. And that's what I started thinking could be there. Now, granted, it's a million people coming together to make a show come together. You know what I mean? It ain't just two people putting their heads together and coming up with topics. But what I'm saying is, when they got to sit up there, look at each other in the face, and then proceed to make fun of this man every single day, show his blooper reel, and this energy just comes down, and his wife is saying this, that, and the third. It just comes to me as you're asking for it kind of thing as it pertains to energy. I'm big on that. We talk about it all the time, but it's like, if you're going to engage in bully activity, you're going to engage in disrespectful activity, you got to understand that the blowback is coming. For those who don't believe in karma or whatever, I think the blowback of that is going to hit you one way or another. Because the people around you see you're not being respectful. You see each other not being respectful. You hear the family coming out saying, please respect us. You're seeing the black backlash, and you're still getting up there every day to take a check. And you proceed to go into this type of thing. So it's like Shannon, where he's trying to go, he's doing his Club Shay Shay thing. He's got a lot of respect out there, but it's like his image has taken a massive hit just by being on the show next to this man over the last 7 years. People look at Shay like, man, you this, that, and the third, or whatever words that come to their mind in a negative way, because of who he's aligned himself with and Skip. So while that's all cool and dandy into a point, and I think we reached that point when Russell Westbrook started getting bullied and the wife came out and said, yo, stop it. At that moment, when Skip decided to double down on disrespect, I essentially looked at that in my own way as him basically cursing his own thing. You're cursing your own show when you do that. You're cursing your own home, bro. I'm a firm believer in that. When somebody tells you to please stop doing something and you refuse to do it, and you have this type of magnitude, again, it's about the voice and how many people he's reaching with his example. When you do that, you're asking God to come back and correct your example. You're asking him to, especially when you proclaim his name. You say, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. All right, bro. But there comes a point where you have to understand that if you're not going to do right, if you're not going to do right, you got to know that blowback is on the way. And so that's how I look at it, man. They was welcoming the wrong energy to their show when they were doing that to Russell. I really believe that. They were welcoming the wrong energy to their show. And granted, they had done that to other people in the past. They had done different things, but I just felt like this was different. This was different because athletes can always take what it is that comes their way because they signing checks to do so. But when somebody's wife come up and say, my child is being bullied at school because of you, and and stuff like that happens, let me tell you, parents start crying out to God. They start saying, my kids is not safe, Lord, please. He responds to that. He really responds to that. I've seen it in my own life. My mom crying out to Lord about people who did things to me and then seeing what happened to them. I'm telling you, I've seen it in my own life. It's true. So when I looked at Russell and I look at the aura around their family, I look at the positivity that his wife was putting out, and I understand that's her seeds that this is happening to. I'm like, Skip, Shannon, listen to me. We're in a world where people don't really believe in God, but I'm telling you, don't play with that kind of stuff, people. Please hear me and hear me good. Even if you don't believe in spirituality, just hear me. Don't. It's one of those things where he don't play about that kind of stuff. I've seen in my own life. And so it's just people keep doing stuff like, oh, I'm a bully the kid, I'm a bully Westbrook, and I don't care what happens because it's about my show. It's going to be the show that takes the brunt for that. So when we fast forward and see this Hamlin situation and you see Skip Bayless just stumbling all over himself and you see his co-host ain't coming on the show to kind of do anything to help the image of the situation. If anything, he doubled down and made it a lot worse. It's just like y'all are crumbling from the inside out. And you know what welcomed that into your lives? That Westbrook crap. That's exactly what did it. If y'all never did that, none of this would be happening. I promise you. I promise you it would not be happening. You cannot welcome that stuff into your lives, into your show, into your atmosphere when you claim to be a Christian. You can't do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You better commit all the way to that evil like the rest of them dudes who did that. And when they were sitting up there burning crosses, they commit to the evil. If you're going to say something in Jesus' name, you better commit to the evil to it. If you're going to be bad, be all the way with it. That's all I'm saying. Don't be on the fence and be confused about it. And then when he comes down with the hammer and you start seeing all this karma knocking you all around in your head, and people ready to cancel you left and right for stuff you ain't even mean what you said like that. It didn't even come off that way. If it was read in the way that it was interpreted. But you got to see that's the evil in the situation. Because the way that you tweeted it left room for it to be misinterpreted as intended. And now you're getting the backlash from it that you didn't intend, Skip. You didn't intend for that type of backlash. But you got what comes from that backlash. You know what I mean? You get what comes with what it is that you did, which is backlash. So that's what I look at. I'm learning a lesson here. As I grow older and more confident in what it is I do, I don't want to make mistakes like Skip. Granted, I don't have some of the same issues that I believe he may have. Certain things that make it so that he's got to stand up when he's wrong. I don't have that problem. When I'm wrong, I'm like, look, I take pride in saying I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I fix it. I want to correct my wrongs because I know that that's his balance. You provide balance to yourself when you correct your wrongs. You provide credibility to yourself. You can do all of the trolling that he does, but when it's time to put it down, one has to be responsible enough to be able to put the troll hat down and be a human if your responsibility is to be a public figure. Now, trolls in the shadows do whatever they want. They don't stop trolling if they don't want to. But if you're going to be a person who's trying to get millions of dollars and have millions of people support you, then you need to consider what it is that's going to help you do that and what's going to hurt you do that. Hurt you from, in regards to that. So that's what I'm seeing there. I just think that, I am a firm believer. And this is true. I believe that you can be a Christian person, live your life however you're doing it. Don't invoke, and this is me talking in circles, but don't invoke your religious practice, even if it ain't Christ. If you're a Muslim, I feel the same way. Don't swear to God, fam. Don't do that. Unless you're ready to see it all the way through. You know, that's what I'm saying. Because as I'm saying to you guys, Skip, it's made it very clear he's a devout Christian. And so I approach him, you know, on this camera as I speak in his name, I approach him with that understanding. I wouldn't be coming at him, holding him to some type of accountability if he weren't somebody who proclaimed himself to first be Christian and first be. That comes with something, you know, because you're leading others. Now you're trying to lead people in regards to their souls, not just what it is they're interested in. Now you got people who are curious about Christianity, curious about finding God, will listen to you on a sports show and say, yeah, let me give it a shot. And then they'll follow your example too while they're following. New Christians gonna follow your example. It's what I've learned, man. In respect to all the new people who find God, I found that a lot of times they really are gonna follow whoever they see behaving that way. A lot of times, like, they just found their spirit. They wasn't raised with this. So if they see you condemning everybody and going around saying, yo, we can bully people in the name of Christ, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's what we do. That's the religion. No, that's not the religion. It's not. It's not at all. It's not how we move. That's how people moved when they didn't know Christ but wanted to pretend they know Christ so that they can keep the bull crap going, or whatever it is they were trying to do, make money, make a name for themselves, get their church going, and exalt themselves. Whatever they did, they would use God to get it done. And it's like, we can't keep doing that. This has been going on for generations. And if you continue to do it, it will have some reverberating effects just like the past. And it was being done in that way. So I'm just saying, look, wars are waged on that kind of stuff. You know, people have stood on heels and were dead wrong in Jesus' name. And we saw what happened to them. And it's just like, you know, and you do it on a lesser scale. But as an example, you're speaking to somebody who may do it on a greater scale. You understand what I'm saying? Or do it in a different way. This is why the voice that speaks to millions is the key to all of it. It's the key to all of it. Because if he was only sitting here talking to people like me, like 300 people like me, I don't know if it's the same thing. Because he's not going to reach the same people. It's not going to be the same reach. You see what I'm saying? And I've told you guys the same thing. If I ever get to a point where I'm bigger, my conversations are going to change. Because what I have to say to the world ain't the same thing I'm going to have to say to 300 people. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I would like to think it would be the same, but certain things it won't be filtered the same way, just like Skip's tweet. He would have to give qualifiers for people to understand where he's coming from. I think that is a much easier thing to do when you're talking to your core rather than when you're talking to the wide public. And I think that's also where Skip is going wrong a lot of the times. And, you know, just looking at it from afar, man, I would I would encourage Skip to understand where I'm coming from when I say I think it's okay to reflect on where things went wrong as it pertains to not allowing people to love you publicly. So a lot of people want to be famous, but they don't necessarily want to be loved. And a lot of times what comes out of their mouths and what they do reflects that. And they wish to be punished. Maybe for something they don't know, maybe for something they think that they need to be punished for, or maybe just they don't realize that they're doing this. Maybe they just warped by the enemy that wants to punish them, so therefore they think it's okay to welcome hate, welcome evil. They think of the pessimism in their heart. They don't feel there's a lot of good out there, so they come out with bad energy. You know, they think that being strong is bullying others because they may have been bullied or was trying to protect against being bullied their whole lives. So it's like, if I don't put out this fake energy of tough guy something, then obviously I'm gonna be ate up. And that's a real thing in some environments. It really is. But my thing is, you gotta know when to turn some of that off. You gotta know when you've left that environment. You gotta know when the world is not the way your world was. And there's a lot of people who are broadcast to the world but don't behold the world properly. We've talked about that too. They don't know who's behind the camera. They don't know who they're speaking to. I don't. I have an understanding of whom I think may be there. But when you speak out, who's on the other end? And so when it comes to a guy like Skip Bayless, he's speaking out and tweeting, and I always think tweeting is the worst because that stuff never gets deleted. You can never edit it or nothing. So I just think of it as something that entraps you. You know, it keeps you stuck to your opinions that often can change. So I never really mess with Twitter, to be honest with you. But, you know, as I look at what he did there, it's like, man, he's not welcoming people to love him. He's not welcoming people who appreciate him. And no, he's the type of person who is pushing himself into a position where it's only going to be like 20 people at his funeral. And that's a crappy way to live when you've been as famous as he is. And then one has to ask themselves when they get to a space where they can be in a space, you know, able to receive what it is that the truth is, one has to ask themselves why they want to be hated so bad. Why do you want people to dislike you so much? Why is it that hate is the only energy that you will welcome into your life? And those same people often find themselves complaining about it. But the haters hate me. I can't stand my haters, but I don't know if I can do anything without them. Yes, that evil inside of you is yearning for some more bad energy to work with. And that bad energy does not want to be extinguished. Good energy would provide that. So what you've psyched yourself into doing, or what it has psyched you into doing, is welcoming what would strengthen it, which is not the opposite of it. Your unhappiness is something you're welcoming. You got to learn how not to. So these are the type of things. It's like, I don't know if you can go talk to a psychologist and get this, because this ain't that. This is spiritual. This is an attack against oneself by way of their own demons, inner demons. You know, demons that were probably placed into you by trauma and things of that nature that'll make it so that you don't know how to welcome love, but you will be complain about the hate that you're welcoming in. So it's like, I look at Skip and I'm like, I don't know how to dig into somebody's mind without actually knowing him. I'm not a psychologist either, so I'm not trained in this area. But when I look at what he's doing and I see how where he is in his life, there's no mistaking what energy he's welcoming into it. And my thing is, should you not want to not punish oneself when you're trying so hard to build something? I'm a firm believer in being on your own side. This is what we're talking about. He bringing bad energy to his show, and his show is in jeopardy because of it. It's like, if you're on your own side and you love yourself and you're saying good things about yourself, then you're going to welcome people to love you back. So you're going to display humanity when that Hamlin situation comes by, as opposed to something that has some weird way of looking at it, and then therefore people can backlash at you and scram at you, and then you get to sit back and feel uncomfortable. It's like you're asking for that energy. Even though you perceive yourself not wanting that energy, you're pushing buttons to assure it gets your way. You're effectively bringing it to you. So it's like, a lot of times people don't know this. They've been coerced into this by various different things, you know. Either accountability, they can hold it themselves, say they just went toward the wrong things, or they've been coerced, however you would look at it. But the point is, their minds are in this space and they want something different, but they're bringing the wrong things. Which is why I'm on this channel trying to normalize and using good energy, because I think there are people who really genuinely want the right things, but they're just literally been coerced the wrong way. And Skip, I feel like maybe one of them people, for whatever reason. Maybe he grew up in an environment where he didn't know how to get the best of energy. You know how to get the most of attention. But as it pertains to allowing people to understand what's in your heart and the need for people to understand that is there so that you can get the right response from people when you say things like this, he didn't create the environment for that. He did not create the environment to be given the benefit of the doubt for anything that he says in this way. And he created that environment knowing that, and then proceeds to do things like this. And I hear people like, I believe it was, it might not have been Terrell Owens. I've heard so many people talk about this today, but it was a couple of people who just essentially said they know Skip Bayless and they know that he does things for publicity. I think it was Ticket TV said that. It might have been a few other people. It might not have been Ticket. I don't know. I'm quoting the wrong people, but essentially people I've been listening to are saying they know Skip, they know of Skip, and Skip is the type of person who is going to go for controversy above all else. All he cares about is bringing the ratings up on his show, being successful, and that's what they're saying about him. And I don't, like, how am I supposed to know? My thing is this: if you want the show to succeed, it starts with the people supporting you. And while they can be entertained by various things that you do, when it's time for them not to be offended, you got to know how to love yourself in those moments. Now that's deep, but it's true. That's exactly what it is. You got to know how to love yourself when other people are going through compassionate, needing for you to be loved, loving in their space type of situations. You need to not be against yourself when those moments occur, because that's exactly what Skip found himself involved in last night in some very, 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 interesting way, I guess, through my perception. He found himself in a position to where he was ready to punish himself more so than he was ready to send condolences, and it came out through his words. You know what I mean? So these are the type of things that, like, a lot of people don't want to go get therapy. This is the kind of stuff they end up finding in their head. And a lot of times it ain't their fault. It comes from some childhood trauma that makes them feel like, before they even get a chance to, like, really develop what it is that's actually happening or what it is they actually want, they start bringing the wrong energy beforehand, or they were taught by people who were welcomers of bad energy how to welcome bad energy at all times. You know what I mean? Taught bad, taught poorly. So it's like we got to unlearn things, and it's hard for old dogs, so to speak, to learn new tricks, but I definitely want to undo that. I'm a firm believer in evolution, which means we can get better as we get older at getting better at learning new tricks as older dogs. We're better older dogs than the older dogs from before, if that makes any sense. So like LeBron can play till he's 38 and continue to do reverse dunks right now, I'd imagine Skip Bayless can grow some right now in this situation instead of continuing to revert back to the same old bad energy bullcrap. You know, and look, I'm one of those black people who I leave room for all types of stuff. I don't know what's in nobody's heart. I know what's in mine, and I know it's changed sometimes. So, you know, I've had to work on my heart to make sure that this is where it needs to be, and will continue to need to in order to keep on the right track. And I don't think it's a whole lot different for a lot of people. So I'm not here to condemn nobody, Skip, Shannon, or none of them, you know. But at the end of the day, I just feel like when you are trying so hard to build something, and all that matters is you're building something, then it is chess. And what Skip did was move the wrong chess piece, and I think it has something to do with some of the stuff that maybe I'm scratching around at right here. There's something, I don't know what the man's life has been like, but I can tell you this. When it's time to swallow your ego and show compassion for the betterment of what it is you're trying to build, and you're unable to do that because of your own personality, then there's some things that need to be sorted through. And for those who are saying, oh, he's doing this only for publicity, this ain't the publicity he needed. And his coworker didn't show up to work. So things have gone left. What he was trying to do ain't come out the right way. And I know that at the end of the day, you know, Skip has been on television for a long time. He's made a lot of people upset. You know what I'm saying? And like I said last night, it's low-hanging fruit for a lot of guys to jump on him. I think Terrell Owens came out and clarified his position. He said that he may have read it a certain way, reacted, and then understood after conversations with others that there was another way to interpret the words. So I respected his point of view on both ends of that. And I stand with him in a sense that I remember how Skip did him. I remember how that went. So it's okay to look at somebody when they acting a fool, and remember what they did to you and feel a little overreactive. But at the same time, you show that character when you realize there's something to fix. You be better than Skip and you make it right. So I applaud T.O. on that, because I ain't heard Skip apologize at all. I heard him give us the spiel about how his heart was heavy about the situation, and it went into about a little monologue about the situation. But I felt that he wouldn't allow himself to apologize based on this type of way that he's put forth his image on television all the years I've watched him. I didn't think that he was going to want to apologize for something that he genuinely worded in a way to where he shouldn't have to. He's going to stand on that heel. And as someone who's younger than him, I don't think that's the way to go, but I ain't lived where he's lived. I don't know what he knows, but I can tell you this. The people that raised me, they raised me to make things right. They raised me to put my ego aside when it's time to put my ego aside, you know? You know, that I'm not a narcissist. I believe he may have some narcissism going on there, so that might get in the way of that. You know what I mean? That might get in the way of that. Because he seems to be, like, extremely confident to the point where, and this is just my perception, to the point where he don't even care, like, if you're getting on him or not. He's going to keep that face up of confidence and keep that face up of fight. And the more you come at him, the more he's going to come at you. And it's just like, it's a strain that many people probably wouldn't want to get into it with most people. You got to be strong to deal with people like that. So that's what I take from him. But at the same time, it's like, it's going to leave you without a lot of people who support you. It's going to leave you with a lot of enemies. It's going to leave you with a lot of people with knives at your back and all kinds of stuff like that. You don't want to welcome that energy into your life. Swallowing that pride and allowing people to heal as you humble yourself, it can go a long way in helping that. And that's what it's about. It's not about keeping your ego up. It's about allowing people to heal when you've cut them. Sometimes we don't understand that aspect of it. It's like, bro, you might not have been all that wrong, but they fell away, and now they're disrupted, and now you're in a position to help heal them so that they don't continue to push that energy out even further. Most people aren't raised or care enough to give a damn about that until the collateral damage from that energy being passed around hits something that matters to them. which 9 out of 10 times it may not, because usually when the energy goes out, it stays out and it keeps going out into the world somewhere else. It come back to you in like 35 years or something. But the point is, once we start to understand the relay of energy like that, once we start to think about things like that and how what we do can affect others, and then from there domino for others, then we can start stopping that domino right here, pleasing the Lord in that way, because it's not what people do. It's just not. And so I think that would go a long way in making it so that the universe could be kinder to us, so to speak. And God can kind of bring some things to us if we're believers in God like Skip say he is. And I say this with a lot of respect. Skip is in his 70s, man. I don't know how many years he plans on living, but you can't be waging war against the Lord on the final hour. So you get to the buzzer shot and then you want to start missing free throws. What? No. Hell no, Skip. So that's where I'm at with it. Not to say that I wish anything but more life for the man, because I ain't got nothing against Skip in that way, but it's just like, he's an older guy now. He's lived a good portion of his life. You can't be starting to bully people in the 70s-year-old, 75 years old. You want to start bullying people and acting insensitive and acting like you don't understand why people are upset about certain things. It's like, brother, do you not understand that you are just 5 minutes away from knowing all the secrets? You're going to know all the secrets. It's like, sometimes you just got to understand, like, nobody knows when the death day is, but when you get to a certain age, you got to start thinking about what your spiritual ramifications will be. It could be 5 minutes from now you facing the Lord talking about all the stuff you done did. Just like, you don't want to play around like that as quickly as people be leaving Earth. No, bro. No. If you're a believer, you better hold some strength in that understanding. Your humility, your compassion, your respect, your kuf, which is a word isn't used very much, your class, that stuff is going to go a long way, man. I kid you not. And my mother used to tell me something I believe. She said, your manners will get you further than your money will. It'll get you indoors in favor with people who won't accept your money but will accept your apology. And these are the type of things we need to understand. And so as I look at Skip providing the wrong example, I got to offset that by telling y'all, listen, you're going to get better results from doing the opposite. You will get better results from doing the opposite, even though there will be a lot of people who are insecure in their ways to tell you got to keep up a strength in order to keep yourself faith, keep yourself strong, keep yourself safe. The faith is what will actually keep you safe. It's your humility and your respect that will give you the support that ultimately you will need in your final hour. So that's what I want people to understand, man. I inherently understand that. Came into this world understanding that for whatever reason. I guess I get to take that to my mother. But at the end of the day, man, I watch people go down the wrong path and they want the right things and they can get the wrong stuff from how they're doing it. And Skip, I don't think you can effectively succeed if you're against yourself, man. That's pretty much what I got to say. Video 44. Thank you all for watching.